What's good with it, YouTube? We back. I know it's been a month or two. I I graduated college. I had to get some stuff straight. I have another channel. If y'all want to go subscribe to that, Common Sense KH. With the common sense. But we back on the sports channel. We back here. I've missed y'all. I've missed doing this content. And I probably came back at the right time. Let's get straight into it. The Golden State Warriors are the NBA champions. Coming into this season, you know, a lot of people didn't have Golden State, even as a serviceable team. I know it was some people who had them basically just like breaking into the playoffs, just sneaking in. And you know, I don't think Stephen Curry had anything to prove, with his greatness, but the fact that he willed this team, you know, to getting to the finals and then willing them in the finals, I mean, he did have the help. Well, I'll talk about him later. I'll talk about Andrew Wiggins later. But Stephen Curry, he really has solidified himself as one of the greats. I mean, it was already solidified before, but this just puts icing on the cake. And he finally got his coveted Finals MVP, but I mean, he didn't really need, I mean, it's good to have, but he didn't need that to be like, oh, Stephen Curry's finally good. No, he's been that, he's been him, and I can honestly say as a basketball fan, I'm happy that he has gotten this ring. This ring seems like one of those, I did this. A lot of superstars, a lot of fringe, franchise players have, that moment that have won, championships. It's like, okay, I did this one. This one is different. Like he said, they said this one just hits different because of the talent. The talent, like they kept saying throughout the broadcast the entire night, this is probably the least talented team that the Warriors have had in the finals, and they're not wrong. This is probably the least talented team they had. Um, but Stephen Curry willed them. He put them on his back. The second best player in the whole series, Mr. Andrew Wiggins, who a lot of people wrote off and said he was a bust. That bust word is so stupid. We ain't even going to talk about that right now. But he revived his career in Golden State. And I'm proud of him because, like I said, a lot of people wrote him off. Number one overall pick, he goes to Minnesota. It just doesn't work out. They wanted him to be something that he wasn't. In high school we all knew who he was. At college we all knew who he was. He got to the NBA. I think all of the pressure, the greatest thing since Kobe Bryant, the greatest high school player since LeBron James. People were calling him the next. It was just like, okay, all that is kind of like, all right, let's bring that down. He gets traded to Golden State within his first real year there. Clay wasn't there, and it still didn't look, I guess, good because it was really Curry, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green, and they wanted Andrew Wiggins to, he really didn't know the system. He wasn't really in the system yet, and it was just like, okay, he was learning and everything, and then they missed the playoffs, and this year it was just crazy. They talk about Andrew Wiggins. We talk about Clay coming back after his two injuries, missing two full seasons. He came back. Great redemption story. He was a pivotal part in the championship run. Jordan Poole, you know, starting the beginning of the season, having Clay come back, then, getting his minutes cut, he like, okay, you go from 30 minutes a game. I don't know what he was playing now, maybe 15. He bought in. He bought in. Draymond Green. A lot of people like to give Draymond Green his slack. I mean, sometimes he does deserve it, but he was a pivotal reason. Kevon Looney played every game this season. He was pivotal. Everybody on that Warriors team was pivotal in this championship run. So I am happy for them as a basketball fan. With the Celtics, they had a great season. Nobody expected them to be here. They started off the season bad. They were what 1 or 2 games under 500. They started the season. They were the 11th seed. Nobody expected Boston to be in the finals. They turned it around the second half of the season. Getting back Al Horford, getting back Daniel Tice. Bringing in Derek White. They turned it around the second half of the season. Made it to the second seed. Swept Brooklyn. Beat Milwaukee. Beat the Heat. And now, they made it to the finals. They just didn't have enough juice or enough experience to mess with the Warriors. At some points, at sometimes in the finals, it did kind of look like, okay, they have their number for this game. But at the same time, the Warriors had the experience. And I want to say shout out to Jaylen Brown. He played great this entire series. It seems like he wanted it. I know everybody wanted it, but he wanted it. He got the ball in the fourth quarter. The third and fourth quarter was like, get out of my way. I'm gonna go score. If nobody else wants to score, I'm gonna go score. Then Al started turning it up. I think he hit 2 threes in the third. Then in the fourth, he had 9 straight points off the rip, and he started going crazy. Like Jalen and Al was just like, let's rock. Like everybody get out our way. Everybody let us score. What Jalen was, Al was kind of catching and shooting, but Jalen was just like, get out our way. And I feel like Jalen is gonna get the credit that he does. I feel like now he's gonna get the credit that he truly deserves. Because everybody was just saying like, oh, it's Tatum number 1 and Jalen's just a number 2. I mean, it's still that, but I feel like Jalen is, how can I put it? Yes, he's a number 2, but he's not just a number 2. It's like 1.5. Jason's the 1. Jalen is like 1 point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's gonna get the credit he deserves. And speaking on Jason Tatum, yeah, he had a dud of a finals. His finals was a dud, but I really feel like he needed to go through this. I honestly feel like, his career has really been phenomenal. Rookie year, make it to the conference finals. He made it to the conference finals, played against LeBron, made it against the Heat, and he made it against the Heat. He's been in the conference finals a lot. And now finally breaking through, getting the conference finals MVP, breaking through and getting to the finals, it's not as easy as people think. And I think he had to go through that to realize, okay, it's not as easy as just win another game. And I feel like that's a lot of people in the NBA's problem. They think, it's just, okay, let's just win. And it's more than just win another game. It's everything, all the intangibles, all the little miscues, the turnovers, the arguing with the refs, the tough shot taking, finding the open man, and you're not really finding him. You're just throwing the ball around. All of that plays a part into winning in NBA Finals. And he did put up a dud. For him to have 13 points in a closeout game at home, that's not a good look. It's not a good look, especially for everything that he was doing. I'm not gonna criticize him for doing that because that was his inspiration. A lot of people was criticizing him. I'm not, and I'm still not. That's still his inspiration, but he just happened to have a dud. I mean, like all players have duds. His just came at the biggest time, which makes it amplified times 100. So I do think Jason is going to bounce back. Do I think Boston will be back? I don't know. Boston played wonderful. I mean, it's kind of hard to say they won't be back, because this team swept Brooklyn. This team beat the Bucks. A lot of people are gonna say, granted, Chris Middleton was here, but they still beat the Bucks, and they beat the Heat in 7. So who's to say they won't be back? Who's to say they won't, try to get it next year? But yeah, Jason Tatum 6 for 18, 13 points. That's not gonna cut it. Not gonna 5 turnovers. And yeah, Jason with the most turnovers in his NBA playoff series. Like, that's crazy. 100 turnovers. That's wild. you gotta definitely clean that up in the offseason. Um, Having that many turnovers is crazy as a star player. And I know you have the ball in your hand all the time. Like, if it was like justifiable as like, oh well, he's scoring 30, but he got 5 turnovers. Okay, people will be like, all right, he got 30, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, but he got 5 turnovers. Okay, it is justifiable. But when you putting up 13 points in a closeout game and you have 5 turnovers, it just doesn't look good. And most of the time, his shot selection and turnovers come from him realizing that he's 16. I feel like sometimes he doesn't realize that, and he's taking these tough faders or these tough sidestep threes, or when he's driving, he'll drive and then he'll see the double team coming, and it's like he just panics and just chucks the ball somewhere, or he'll get stuck in his head doing a move, and then he see the double team, he travels. And it was a lot of the time when he would drive in the paint, draw two, and then just freeze and just like somebody over there and throw it, and then it ends up in a turnover. So Jason definitely is going to have to clean that up. I won't be like, oh, Boston's not going back. They have a legitimate chance, because especially with this team, they're going to have a legitimate chance. And I think I'm done with the finals talk. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna have a draft video out. I'm gonna talk about it after the draft happens. Um, I'm I'm in tune to see what happens with the draft, because I believe Paulo Banchero is the best player in the draft. And here's my theory with that. I think the Magic think they found their go-to guy in Franz Wagner, which is why they're either looking at Jabari or Chet to be his complementary piece. That's how I feel. I feel like they don't want to draft Paulo. They draft Paulo, then Franz is going to have to be second fiddle. But I feel like you should draft him anyway, because he's the best player. You really don't have time to be doing all that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm back. I feel great. I feel energized. And I hope y'all enjoyed this video. See y'all next time. We out.